Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me in the lesson today. Today I just want to talk about 5 ways you can express your opinions clearly and confidently in the ISLPR exam, especially the speaking part, okay? I want to teach you how you can express your opinions because throughout the speaking period, the speaking time, the listening time, and also the reading time, you'll be asked to express yourself. So it's very important that we talk about this. A lot of people tend to ignore things like this, but again, I speak as someone who wrote the exam, and I made my own analysis and observation, and I just said I think I need to talk to people that are going to write. Like I need to talk about this. So if you are interested in understanding how you can express yourself confidently, but also you can use your knowledge to express yourself, this is your lesson. Let's get into it. The structure of the ISLPR exam is very simple. The first part is speaking. And during that period, you'll be asked a series of questions and you need to talk about those questions, okay? The second part is listening. You are going to listen to an audio, and while listening to an audio, after listening to an audio, maybe 2 audios, you'll be asked questions, okay? You'll be asked questions. The third one is reading. When you read, they are going to ask you questions. So you can see that there are so many places where you'll be needed in this journey, so many stations and places where you need to express your opinions. Now, how do you do that in a way that impresses the examiner? How do you do that? I'll give you 5 points. The first one is begin with signpost phrases to frame your viewpoint. Remember, I've been talking about signposts, even in the way you write, when you say, for example, as a result. Now, in this case, you may use phrases like, in my view, right? Or I believe that, or from my perspective. Once you start that, you are signaling to the examiner that you are giving them your view, your perspective, your opinion. That's very important. These cues signal that what follows is your considered stance on the issue. Now, why is this important? You cannot sound like you are just cramming and memorizing and then spitting out what others have said. Show that you are independent, you are a thinker, even if an opinion that you are going to say something that you have read, something that you know from other people, but when you say in my perspective, it makes you look like, oh my God, this guy is a guy, he's a thinker. Okay, let me give you an example here. If you say something like this, in my view, introducing a balanced approach to homework can improve learning outcomes. Firstly, that's another signal. When I say firstly, it encourages students to develop time management skills. Furthermore, it allows teachers, you see how I'm using this firstly, furthermore, and it can go on and on and on and on. Why? Once you do this, even the person that is listening to you, actually they are going to follow you because you are giving them signals in the way you are moving. Point number 2. Support your statements with specific examples. I know you're going to say, this is not a job interview, this is just an exam, they're testing my understanding. No. If you give an opinion, it's very important to follow it up with an example. And again, when you're giving an example, you can say, for instance, let me just give you an example here. I'll read you something from my article. Again, this tutorial is based on my article, which is on my website. For further understanding of what I'm talking about, just head to my website, okay? So you can say something like this. I believe flexible working hours increase employee satisfaction because they allow people to balance work and personal commitments. For instance, At my previous job, I was able to, if you don't have a job, don't worry. I've always said, you can say, for example, my dad, who had, for example, at least draw something from your experiences or the experiences of those that are close to you or those that you know. Okay, so do not just give your opinions with signaling language, but you should also follow that. That's the second point. Follow that opinion with an example. Number 3, strike the right balance between certainty and caution. Certainty and caution. This means that you must sound confident. Of course, you should. And when you express your opinions by saying, in my own view or in my perspective, yeah, that's okay. But absolute statements can come across as being rigid or insensitive to alternative perspectives. So you should use hedging language that allows you to present a balanced view and demonstrate critical thinking. You might include the use of words like might, could, may, to suggest that your viewpoint is one of several valid interpretations of the situation you are talking about. Let me give you an example here. If you said something like, I tend to think that community service can foster social responsibility. It often provides young people with real insights into local issues. However, some participants may not engage fully if they do not see the relevance of their lives in what they are doing. You can say that, wow, I'm giving an opinion, but I use hedging language like, however. It's not like I don't believe in my own opinion. I just want to show that I am objective. I believe that there are other perspectives out there which are equally important, and I am aware of that. And because I am aware of those, when I speak, while I defend my opinion, I recognize those. That is a very good way to speak, I think, generally, and this is not just about the test, okay? Number 4, use varied intonation and stress to emphasize your key points. This is very important. You can't speak at the same level all the time. I think sometimes you can even ask questions. What do I think about this? This is a very important question. Let's start by looking at what are the benefits. In my own opinion, the benefits of remote learning, for example, offer greater flexibility, greater accessibility to diverse resources, and improved self. And apart from that, teachers can find information that they are looking for online and pass it to the students in advance before the lessons. So remote learning is very important in that sense. So you can see, you can be changing your voice and your tone. Where you need to emphasize, change your tone, because what they expect you in the exam is for you to be natural and use your language naturally, the way you speak to someone, except you need to remain formal and you need to be aware of how you are using your language. And by the way, if you want to understand how to differentiate between formal and informal language and how you can use it to skyrocket your grade in international second language proficiency rating exam, you can check my tutorial in the description or somewhere up here, but mainly in the description, okay? And at this point, I just want to ask you guys, if you haven't subscribed and you liked this video and you thought it's something that teaches you something that you didn't know to prepare for the international second language exam, please subscribe, click the notification bell so that when I post a video, you'll be the first one to see and learn something. I've got a lot of lessons coming, so you do well to subscribe. Thank you so much for doing me that favor. Let's talk about the last one. The last one is practice with a range of topics and timed drills. Try to talk about different topics and give opinions about different topics and defend your opinions with examples, but also show that you recognize other people's opinions and that those opinions could be equally valid and important. That's what you could do. I'll end here for today. Thank you so much for sitting in, and as usual, please subscribe. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much. Now I'm looking at you. I want to see if you're going to subscribe. Thank you for subscribing. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.